We've got Adaire. I know we've got Adaire. We've also got Russell Austerberry. And look, these guys are all part of the Coochie Foodies group. So it's a foodie co-op, and welcome on board for tonight. Come on in, guys. Hey, Adaire.
Hello.
Here he is, right in the middle. Meat and the sandwich. So,
Rose, but hang on a minute.
So hey, Russell. hey, Adaire. Now, which one out of both of you, because I'm going to leave a bit of this up to you guys, who would like to talk a little bit about what is a food co-op?
Well, I think I'm going to defer to Russell for that one, because I'm an end user, and Russell is by way of introduction. Russell, you can fill in the gaps or tell me if I lead you on astray, lead our viewers astray. Is the founder of the Coochie Foodies Food Co-op. And
so I'll just jump in. Hey, food co-ops. At heart, food co-ops is a group of people wanting to bring in their own food, and so they kind of join forces and tend to go and find some local or fairly friendly farmers and do their own shopping to get better food usually. I've been involved in food groups for something like 10 years, about nearly 5 years of that on Coochie Mudlow. And I'll give you a brief rundown of what it looks like, and then I'll talk about why. And then we'll see what sort of questions people are coming at. I think, does that sound fair?
Sounds good to me.
Yep. So when I'm talking about a food group, our own group is fairly sophisticated. We've got 40 to 50 people on the books, and we've got an ordering system, which means we can order online once a fortnight.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got 3 major suppliers, and 2 of those suppliers actually, one of them reaches out to a whole heap of farmers within a few hundred kilometres of Brisbane, and the other guy reaches out to a whole heap of suppliers of flour and oils and bread and pantry items and meat and a whole heap of stuff. Also as local as possible, but probably further out than that 200k.
Yep.
And all of the stuff we get in is either organic or chemical free stuff. So we're looking at the best fuel we can bring into our bodies or put on our skin or whatever as possible. And for me, that's a personal necessity. I've been living with some kind of a low energy health condition for 25 to 30 years. And if I don't have the best greens and the best diet that I can put inside me, I don't get through a day very well. So, and I dare anyone to compare the difference between a strawberry or an apple or a banana or some spinach that you buy through us or via what you can get in the supermarket. Our stuff lasts longer, it's fresher, it's better. Ask Adaire. Look at the smile, she agrees.
Yeah.
Russell, cool. You don't mind if I ask some questions to Matthew, because I'm curious. I'm curious about. Well, firstly, I said, and I think it's about 5 years. I know that you and Gabrielle have been on the island, but you started the Coochie Foodies not long after that.
Yeah, I think it was about 3 months in we had it going. Yep.
Okay, all right. And so to bring it to an island, and it's a fairly small community. After the reason I'm asking these questions is because with the new world that we live in, or the strange new world that we live in, we'd love to encourage as many people as possible to look for food co-ops in their own area, or if they don't have any, to look at starting a co-op. So I'd imagine that there would have been some trials and tribulations, and I understand that you did have experience with food co-ops before. So
pick a question.
Okay, incorrect. So 3 months into a new community, a very small community, and you decide to start a food co-op. What were the things that went really well when you first started, and what were your challenges?
Okay. We kicked it off 3 months after we moved in, but I was testing the waters and talking it up before we ever got here. So we were incubating it before we even hit the island, and walking along the beach, talking to strangers and getting good vibes from people. And it was actually one of the reasons we decided to come over, was because there was enough people actually receptive to this kind of an alternative to the supermarkets. So things that went well, we'd already had a bit of experience. So we've grown from trying to get farm food to our driveway and sell it on trestle tables and hope that we get the right amounts, and then realizing a few days, at the end of the day, that we've got trying to give you an idea of something, 6 massive Wombox left over that we can't do anything, people haven't bought them. So it didn't take us long to realize that one of the things you need to own for food co-ops is fairly precise ordering, so that you don't have too many leftovers. And that's something we've done very well and continue to tweak and refine. We've got an ordering system, cheaply called Lettuce Share. There's a pun in there somewhere. And that allows us to give all of our members an option to order exactly what they want. And most of the time, you get what you order. There's a little bit of uncertainty in it. But one of the things which holds us together, there's the quality of the food, and then there's the ability to custom order. So we've done that custom ordering pretty well, and tweaked it over time so that it's now working for over 800 products, and there's 20 to 30 people ordering at any one time. So we're packing. We've got sheets which get spit out, which show us all of the items that need to be put in everybody's box. So there's a lot of organising behind the scenes. But the result of that is almost no packaging. We are filling up one wheelie bin with all the cardboard and all the packaging for the food for 24 people for a fortnight. And that's pretty much it as far as the packaging is concerned.
That's excellent.
Yeah. So there's a lot less packaging per person. And there's not much waste because of the way we specify how much we want. There might be 13 kilograms of bananas by the group, and so we get a 14 kilo box and sell the extra kilo when it comes here. And we can get that down to a pretty fine art, which is really good.
That's good, Russell. I'm just going to break in just for one tick, just say a few hellos, just to be
definitely. I did see a few people saying hi.
Yeah, Gail Humphreys. Hey, Gail. We've got a couple of people here that are just down as Facebook users. I think you've come in from another.
Yeah, they've come in from your meditation with Matthew community.
Oh,
so
okay.
I see, Sue's there. Sue has said, "Love what the Coochie foodies do. I had the pleasure of volunteering to help out when I was on Coochie in September."
Oh, okay. Yep.
Community.
Beautiful.
So, and then that's, I think it's possibly Sue or someone else in the community that's saying, "Can I take over, Matthew?"
I think you have.
It's a great question. Do any of the residents on Coochie grow their own food to sell to others? Now,
we are tossing that around at the moment. If you don't mind me jumping in, there's
oops.
Yeah.
That's all right. Forget that.
That's in discussion. There's a potential group forming called Friends of the Orchard. There's an orchard that's just been bought. We're thinking about finding people who can manage an orchard. We're also thinking about finding ways to farm, in other words, do little bits of space in people's backyards and farm 1 or 2 or 3 things per person. Very, very early days, but it's in the I was about to say it's in the pipeline, but that's probably too early. We're just seeing where it goes at the moment, but it would be lovely. I would love to see a serious homegrown local food that's actually on the island, because there's a lot of advantages to local.
How big is the community that you're catering for? Roughly.
We've got a membership of 50 odd, and on the island there's 750 odd. I haven't seen the exact figures. So we're actually catering ourselves to a good chunk of that community already. If we were growing stuff on the island, I would expect a lot more people on the island would use us.
Exactly.
Hard to know the numbers.
There's huge potential there for the foodie group to grow.
That's a good pun.
Absolutely, yeah. To grow, when I'm speaking now, I'm sort of speaking out of desire rather than it's actually happening yet. But there's, I'd like to see us growing a big diversity of stuff so that you've got 20, 40, 50 different things being grown at any one time. So because people come back for variety. If you've only got 2 or 3 things, then they're going to have to go back to the supermarket and get their stuff. Whereas what we've got now with foodies is a pretty big variety. And if we can grow a lot of that locally, then people will come back for that. So variety is important. And the other thing that I'd like to enable somehow is some kind of protection from hail, some kind of protection from storms, some kind of protection from too much heat, and some kind of protection from drought. And that's tricky. All those things cost a bit more than just sticking stuff in the ground. But I'd like to see long-term planning to enable growing at times when it's difficult. And a lot of those conditions I just mentioned, they'll actually knock out all of southeast Queensland in one hit. You're talking about fires, droughts, floods, and rain. Wicking beds are something we're looking at. So someone asked me about wicking beds. I'll go on for a while.
Oh, tell us about wicking beds.
I'm glad you asked.
I think in the context of what you're doing, so there's a couple of different things I see coming up here. And one is the foodies co-op, where we order and then we source stuff locally.
Correct.
You source, we rely on volunteers. I've helped packing, and and it's all voluntary, and it's all like it's a real community driven initiative. And then there's that extension of that, which is like the community gardens, and whether that's in somebody's backyard or whether there's a council allocated space or whether, whatever that looks like, or lots of people's backyards. There's lots of options there. And then it comes down to one of the things that we have, Matthew has had Paulie on talking about things like growing his own, like growing garden. What'd you say, Matthew?
Growing a food garden.
Yes, your own food garden, and he helps others set up those gardens. So I'd like to have this conversation in context of people wanting to do that for themselves, or joining or running a food co-op. So what are wicking beds, and how can they be? Are they easier to use and set up and use, or what?
They're a little bit of a hassle to set up, and they're brilliant to use because a wicking bed essentially stores water underneath the soil. So you have some container, you've got a layer of gravel or something else that just has water in it, and then a barrier like a cloth barrier, and then a bit of soil and the plants. And the advantage is that you can fill up the gravel or that bottom layer with water, and the water will wick up into the soil from below. And while there's even a little bit of water in there, that wicking will happen, and it basically means that you have always got the perfect amount of moisture in the soil with no maintenance, or very, very little maintenance. So the hard part is just getting it installed, and then the rest of it is just once every 6 months you might refresh a bit of the soil on top, but it just enables just about a perfect growing condition all the time with very little effort.
And one thing I caught, you kind of slipped this one into the conversation right at the beginning, Russell. Not just food, you've also got not just vegetables and fruit, you've got meat coming in as well. Where is that coming from? Ethically sourced people that are so it's not going through the big abattoirs or anything like that.
No, we've got we know several we've got relationships with several farmers through our suppliers, and like just a few farms, so we're getting eggs and pork and venison and bacon and stuff like that from specific farms all relatively small scale artisan. You know, I'm not sure if they play music to their cows overnight, but they're looked after.
Oh.
And every now and then we get a story about what's happening to these farmers in, you know, whether it's tough in a drought or whatever.
Sure.
So that there's a little bit of a connection to the actual farm we're getting our food from, and
Beautiful.
we're also fairly can be fairly assured that the animals are being treated well on the farm, given enough.
That's fantastic.
You know, to be the pigs they were meant to be.
And look, just a few more hellos. So, hey,
Yep.
Christina Maidment. We've got Nicole Joy. Hey, Petra over in WA. Nice to see you on board. Vesna Stavik, and more Facebook users down here that I can't see. Maybe Adaire can show those ones. And Vesna's just saying, thank you for bringing this information to the community. It's our pleasure. And also, I heard you slip something else into the conversation.
I'll keep doing that.
Yeah. And that's other than food. You're talking about people also putting in things like oils and things for maybe makeup or homemade items. Is that something that happens as well?
So I haven't seen any makeups come through our list yet, but we're calling them pantry items. So there's a lot of household items that
yep.
And that covers a pretty wide range. Flour, nuts, oils.
Cool.
You know, prunes, packets of flour. There's what else? I'm trying to think whatever else there's. Yeah, the meats, like I said, the toothbrushes, toilet rolls, toilet paper. It's a sort of pretty good list of essentials. Produced pretty much all by relatively small scale farmers or producers who are doing things as best they can. Like one guy used to work for Omo, decided he didn't like the chemicals or the attitude, started up his own cleaning products company, and now we're getting the best eco-friendly cleaning products you can imagine. They're super concentrated, they work really well.
How good's that?
Haven't quite tried drinking them yet, but you probably could. They're very, very safe.
Okay, that's fantastic. So one of the questions I had was, what advice would you offer to people that wanted to create their own foodie group, foodie co-op?
Yeah, there needs to be one is actually a good idea for it to be a couple for a start. If it's just one person, you're up for a lot of work. If it's just two people, it's still a lot of work, but you can share it a bit.
Yep.
I'm talking about the drivers, the people who get this going. There's a fair bit of stuff to get going. There's a fair bit of stuff to keep going. So far, I haven't met any food co-op that doesn't have one or two people driving it. You can share a lot of the work out, but you can't share all of it out. So if you're considering building a food group, bank on it being a good chunk of your life for a fair while. Is probably the first word of caution. So just don't expect to be able to set something up and run it on automatic. You can set things up and run them to procedures, and you can have other people doing procedures and so on. But you have to I'll just run through some of the things that you've got to think about just briefly. You've got to think about hooking in with the rhythm of the suppliers. So you've got to work out when the farmers are going to the suppliers and when the suppliers are going to get stuff. And then you've got to work out some way of either them getting the stuff to you or you going for a drive getting the stuff to yourself, which is what we're doing. And that's kind of first, is those kind of logistics. If you're using some kind of software to enable pre-ordering, and you need to work out your budget for that, and you need to get a whole lot of details around. It'll be complex. That stuff is complex. And always individual orders. If it's just turn up and food market, it's a lot easier, but you can have a lot of those issues with too much waste. So we've gone down a more complex route. So you'll need to be looking at computer stuff. You'll need to be reminding people. You'll need to be having rosters. You'll need to be sharing work out. You need to be chasing people. And all of that can be quite rewarding. And the sum total of it is more than just work. It's community. It's having fun with others, and it's enjoying stuff.
Yeah.
But there is work. I'm trying not to sugarcoat it too much. There's definitely a work component.
Yeah.
And I guess a fair degree of this, particularly when you're dealing with growers, is networking, is finding growers that number one, prepared to supply, that are actually growing healthy fruit and veg, and but I suppose just that ongoing search for local farmers that aren't too far afield.
We're in the lovely position in Brisbane of having a few wholesalers who are doing the networking.
Oh, fantastic!
So if we have a good relationship with 2 suppliers, we're getting in something like 100 to 150 farmers or other suppliers just by having those relationships. We do have a direct relationship with a nearby organic farm, so that's just a one-to-one, which is great.
Yep.
But it's just fantastic to have someone else doing that networking for us.
Definitely. Adaire, I feel you champing at the bit. Have you got questions?
Have I got questions? I do.
Go for it.
I just, I want to know, Ed, like it is a substantial amount of work, and I, for one, appreciate what you and Gabrielle and all the volunteers do put into it. And I also imagine it must be incredibly rewarding, as you said, because, otherwise, 5 years later, we're here and it's thriving. And I can only see some initiatives like this continuing. We use a software called lettuceshare.org, and I've got a link here which I can put into the stream if that's okay with you, Matthew.
Sure, yeah.
My question to you, Russell, because when I was looking on the map, there's a few that use this up and down the East Coast and one lot in New Zealand, but there doesn't seem to be many in Australia. So do you know of a place where if people wanted to either join a co-op in their local area or start one, would this website be a good place to start? And how did you make your decision to use this website? I'll pop that in now.
Yeah. So simply, we've been dealing with a guy called Thor Svensson, who set up Sovereign Foods, and he was already having a food co-op at Tarragindi in Brisbane. We modelled our stuff off his, and he was using this software, which was developed by a mate of his. So the guy who developed that software lives in Brisbane, and he's still in touch with us and still in touch with Sovereign Foods. I know in Melbourne there's a organic food network. Actually, that's not just Melbourne. That's across. That's a good place to look for anyone who wants to find out a bit more. Look up Organic Food Network, OFN, in Australia. Otherwise, like without knowing exactly where you are, it's hard to say how to direct you. But start with your Google searches and start with your Facebook searches for anyone who's food groups or food co-ops near you. So just see what you can find. And in other words, hook in with whoever you've got around you. And if you've done a little bit of research for a month or so and you can't find anyone, it might be you that starts it. In which case you can always reach out to far distant ones and say, well, how do you get going? I'm always interested to help other people get going if they want to have some idea about what's in front of them on the journey. Yeah. Whether or not you use Lettuceshare, do a bit of research. I've got some frustrations with the system. I've also got a lot of appreciation for the system because without it we couldn't do it. And one guy part-time maintaining complex software, he doesn't get around to a lot of tweaks, but we can't do it with that. So I am in the position of saying it's pretty good and it does what we need it to do. Yeah.
So as new people to the island, new residents, and I would imagine if somebody starting a food co-op or wants to start a food co-op in their own area, it really does rely as much as on the community connections as it does on the supplier connections.
Definitely.
And so what were your strategies? What did you do to reach out?
One really simple one. It's really a target, a milestone more than anything, but get 20 people before you even think about starting, because that number will drop down to 15, 12, maybe 10, and then you'll grow again. But start with 20. If you haven't got 20, keep looking. That's just a really good practical number. And another number is put a 10% surcharge on what's coming on to cover costs. Those two numbers will give you an approximate starting point for working it out. And if you're trying to make it work with 10 people, it's going to be really hard. If you're making it work with 15, you're just about there. If you're making it work with 20 plus, you're in the what I call the Goldilocks zone. Not too little, not too much. 25, 30 people, 40 people. Yeah, after 40, you're doing a lot of work. So again, you're looking at getting too big. But every food co-op I've seen, they've thrived if they've started with 20, had a bit of attrition, and then moved on through that.
Okay.
Yep.
So with your with the, like I said, the way we are, the new directions, as Matthew puts this is for his Fireside Chat, and looking at encouraging people, because as Matthew said earlier, he's talked to naturopaths and herbalists and people who grow their own garden and a whole range of others, and the earthship, fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
This is going to grow further. So you're saying, one of my questions was, your capacity would be around 40. Would you suggest, so if on this community here on Coochie Mudlow, there's about 750 people, so if you got up to 40, 50, 60, 70, would you look at getting another food co-op started, or would you how would you manage that?
Well, our first option would always be to split it into weekly instead of fortnightly.
Okay.
And just run it weekly. The other thing is, so just the numbers that I look at every time is what's the total number of dollars worth of order. We're currently running between $2,500 and $3,000 worth for a fortnightly order. And that's pretty simple. $3,000 worth of stuff in the back of our ute means there's not much room left in the ute. We have managed to fit $3,500 worth of stuff in the back of the ute, but if we hit 4,000, we need another ute. We need something else. It's just that's kind of logistics. And right now we're just cruising. We're in a really good spot. We've got enough people, but not too many. But yeah, it can quickly go in either direction, and it's very easy to go, panic time, one way or the other. But I have noticed that usually we solve it, whatever it is.
Okay, so what sort of? Oh, sorry, Matthew.
I was just curious. So getting up there, particularly with a little community, because Coochie Mudlow is an island.
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone is aware of that, because we've got people from all over Australia kind of online here, and so you've got a target audience, or a captive customers there on the island. Is there any point in getting the council, or is this an option that you've thought of, getting the council on board to help out? I can see a laughter there, to maybe help out with things like, I don't know, a shed and a large refrigerator for excess food that can be accessed.
Great questions. We have actually arranged it so that we have everybody pick up all their stuff on the night, and we have tiny little bit left over on our table for someone who didn't pick it up. But we don't offer refrigeration, because that'd be a hassle somehow, and someone would have to pay for it. And the way we're working, it's once a fortnight. It's not like all the time.
Yeah.
So we've really thought about refrigeration, and it's just like, no, come and pick it up. and do your own refrigeration.
Sure.
The other thing is that I'll just do a very quick summary of our interactions with government stuff.
Okay.
We became an incorporated association, so a proper co-op with a constitution, memberships, rules, da-da-da-da. And we were doing everything properly. What that resulted in was intense scrutiny when it came to audits, so financial audits, and it also resulted in intense scrutiny if we wanted to change 5 words in the constitution, and long drawn-out processes to do so. For both of those reasons, we eventually decided that we didn't need to be an incorporated association. We took a step back and unincorporated, still keeping all the good practice we've developed for the audits, but now basically saying, well, here's our set of rules. We don't need to be monitored by the government. And we've got, because of our 10% surcharge, we are self-sustaining financially, so we don't need help from anyone in terms of council or government. We've worked it out so that we don't need handouts. We're just really offering it at a pretty good price, and it's working out. We're not for profit, definitely not for profit, but we're not holding a handout for money either. Yep. It would probably be a good idea to look for some money at startup time. If you could manage grants, or if you could find another organisation who can auspice you so that you can get grants to get things going, even a grant to investigate how to do it might be something really worthwhile. But we've always kind of been a bit shy about all the strings that come with anything related to a council or a government, especially with now that we've had that experience with the state government and the Department of Fair Trading, who, just painful.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Back over to you, Adaire.
Okay, so you actually answered my question, because I was going to ask about the structure, but I do want to know, if I were to walk around the supermarket as opposed to put in an order for the foodies, what percentage of items for week to week or day to day living would I get? And
from foodies compared to a supermarket?
Yeah.
Is a 15th a good answer?
A 15th?
Supermarkets have got a mind-boggling variety. Thousands, if not tens of thousands of items available in the store. We've got 800. However, my wife and I and several other families in the food group use the Coochie Foodies for 90% plus of our living costs. So there's a few people, not all, but there's a few people who basically want to be exclusively involved in the food group and only go to Woolies for crackers and other things you can't get in the food group. Yeah. The price to pay for that is less variety, but the benefits are incredible quality, eating seasonally, knowing you're supporting your local farmers. And the one thing which surprised the heck out of me when I first discovered it is that when we buy from local farmers through the co-op, they'll get something in the range of 40 cents of what's paid to us for the food by the members. If someone buys pretty much the same thing from a supermarket, the farmer will get about 14 cents back. So for the farmers that we're supporting, we're giving them a much better amount of money per item than anyone growing for the big ones, big supermarkets.
Well, there's definite benefits in that, and there's also benefits in, like you said, the beginning of the conversation with the buying and eating fresh and organic, and knowing you're helping your local community. And also, I think, this is a contentious topic, and I know that there are potentially going to be food shortages with the diesel shortage. Do you see things like those external factors impacting local food groups?
Well, what we did see was when COVID first happened, farmers got hammered. Local farmers saw a tripling or a quadrupling of demand for their stuff, and our own food group saw a doubling of demand overnight.
Wow.
So that was COVID alone, and then if you're looking at further disruptions to the food supply, we're fairly resilient within a 200-kilometre radius of Brisbane. But if you're talking about events or energy problems or issues that affect a whole society or a whole region, then there's a bit of it gets trickier. So we're pretty resilient. The ultimate resilience would be a network of farmers like we already have, plus growing your own. To me, that's the ultimate resilience. We've steered away from all growing our own because that takes a fair bit of dedication and time and space, and only some people are inclined to do it and have all the inclination for it. Gabriella and I have very much made the decision that we would rather run a food group than grow our own food in general. And we also love to see a long-term growing of local food on the island, so that's where we'd like to go. But you can, I think resilience comes in as many ways as you can do it. Get involved in a food group, grow your own stuff, get involved in a food growing enterprise as locally as possible.
Yeah, and there's still community gardens that have been, around for a while as well. I know that there's several. There's one. I used to work in a community centre that had a community garden right next door, and we sold produce out of that in the food co-op. So there's everything old is new again.
Just another question, Russell.
Yes.
So as this is for community, we've got all levels of, I suppose, actively financial people in a community. So with people that maybe don't have a lot of money and are willing to put time in, is there any trading that goes on as far as
no?
We're
the
no
short
cash?
answer.
Okay.
We have to charge the cost of what we're getting plus 10%, and we can't really we don't do discounts. We just say this is what it is. When you're looking at the price list each fortnight, either you can afford it or you can't. And what that does mean for us, in like this is our particular food group. This may be different for other groups. There's a lot of factors going in, but for us, it does mean that the people who are struggling for income tend to drop off because there's a perception that our stuff's more expensive, and our price is on a par with the non-organic stuff you get in the supermarkets, our price. But there's people on the bottom end of the income pile who can get bargains and know where to look, and they'll find that they can get their food cheaper if they go somewhere else. So it's not quite totally inclusive just by the way we've set it up.
Sure.
And I'm not sure how to do that differently and keep it running.
Yeah,
well, it's quite possible that locally, when people start growing their own stuff, we can do
exactly.
spots.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Different story again. Yeah. Although I would really recommend for people growing locally not to discount their produce price too much, because I think we need to protect from hail, protect from rain, protect from drought, and protect from fire, all of which costs. I think we need to get it through people's head that we're in with climate change and with all sorts of issues going on. There's just the need to look after your food more. You can't just grow it in a paddock anymore and expect it to always be there. That's what I've seen for over the 10 years I've been involved in this stuff. Resilience is the key thing, and if you can be growing when other people are getting smashed, that's to me that's the aim.
Yep. Oh, perfect. Well, it sounds like you've got it wrapped up there. It's just looking for really more people to get involved, I guess, as the willingness for people to come on board, because you've still got a large level of the population of the island that's not utilising what you're offering. So I guess that will change over time.
I think it is changing over time, but it's hard to know exactly. We've got all the delivering groceries on the island. I don't know how many days a week now. 4 days a week. It's growing. It went from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, all in the last since COVID. So so the supermarket is making inroads on the island, but at the same time as that's been happening, we've been very slowly and organically growing our own group. So there doesn't appear to be a direct competition between our niche and the supermarket just as yet. I'm actually happy with things emerging slowly, because then you've got time to accommodate and work out how to deal with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think if it happens too fast, you can go into damage control a bit too fast also.
But we have seen, I think, 3 different food providers come and go since we started. So, you know, one guy who was going to the Rockley markets and coming back and selling, he lasted 6 months. That was Cam.
Yeah.
There was someone else who'd been hired to go to the Oasis and sell stuff there, and they didn't last 6 months. And there was, can't remember who else, but yeah, we've seen a few come and go. We've built it up slowly. We've got the ingredients now of quality and variety and pretty good consistency. Yep, we're happy with that trajectory.
Fantastic. Well, look, our time is pretty much up. Really grateful for you to come on board, Russell, because this is, you know, for where people are going, where community is going. I think this is going to be something that's really a lot more people are going to be looking at down the track. Because as what I see is a lot of these old systems that we're so used to are starting to fall apart a little out there, and I think groups like the co-ops are going to be utilised so much more. We've got a place down here in the Adelaide Hills called the Green Shed, and they do some of their own growing.
Yep.
But they're really connected to a lot of growers in the Adelaide Hills, and very similar by the sounds of it to the type of food that you have, as far as being organic as much as possible. And they're just great people to deal with, you know, and they've got a few other items there besides just food, just household items as well. But the food's just impeccable, you know, it's just fantastic, and you can't beat it. And I think this is the huge advantage, and particularly when you're saying that the cost of your food is the same cost, if not less, or around about the same as the average same type of food in Coles or Woolworths. So, I mean, you can't beat that.
To be fair, the disadvantages of being in a co-op, and the disadvantages are that you have to plan ahead. You know, in particular, we're asking people to order for the kind of trip planning ahead type rhythm happening right there. And then you've got to come and help make it happen by packing or whatever. And then, you know, only then does it, then you get it and you've got to take it home and pack the fridge. In other words, completely stuffed fridge on day one, and then you've got to eat your way through it until there's nothing left at the end of 14 days.
Yeah.
Now, all of that is a little bit more inconvenient than your normal experience in a supermarket. So supermarkets aren't going away just yet.
No.
But it's I'm just saying it'd be lovely to think that the food carts take over the world soon, but it'll be slow because because of all that convenience factor. Underneath all the convenience is the quality, the supporting your local farmer, the growing things, you know, pure, the great people. There's a whole lot of stuff underneath, but that's healthier. That's sort of the reflective stuff. I really appreciate the chance to just talk this stuff through in a sort of an interview format, because I find it's very hard to get it across in 20 seconds or in a brochure. There's sort of a fair bit underneath the surface. And it's tricky to do your own advertising. Word of mouth just keeps coming up as the best way to do it. So thank you for the opportunity to look under the lid of what's involved in food co-ops.
Oh, look, pleasure to have you on board. Maybe down the track, when it grows, when it doubles in size, you can come back to us and we can see how well it's running, how well the process is going for you. But anyway, that may be next year. So
appreciate it.
Thanks, Russell. And,
appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, take care. Have a great Christmas.
Thank you.